what you do. Philip J. Ford. Philip, you've been waiting a while too. Thank
Yes,
you for
ma'am.
being here.
Thank you. My full government name. Must have signed up like that.
You signed up, Philip J. Ford.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Lady Allison, thank you for your comments at the beginning of the hearing today. But my name is Phil Ford. I use he and him pronouns. I'm a proud, openly gay man living in rural South Carolina. I was going to testify today on behalf of one of my clients, South Carolina United for Justice and Equality. But I think it's more important to testify and tell you what it's like growing up and living in South Carolina as a gay child. First, I want to especially share that the last hearing where LGBTQ plus people were called criminals, other derogatory names, or even today the inference that gay is bad, I want to say to the LGBTQ plus youth of South Carolina, it's okay. Your existence is seen. We love you, even though there are some people who will try to diminish you, demonize you, or want to erase you. There's a life to live for, and you're looking at it. I want you to imagine yourself or your child is having this experience. Growing up in rural Orangeburg County, Representative Govan is my representative, to successful and deeply religious parents, I knew there was something different about me than the other guys my age by the time I was about 10 or 12. But I was terrified. I didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't have the support system in place. But I tried to show my toughness, my manhood by playing football from 4th grade to 12th grade. I needed to prove my straightness. I felt it was the straight thing to do, but I also enjoyed theater, and I still do. But I struggled through middle school with a few behavior problems, but I believe those are because I wasn't able to be myself. I was often, in just content warning, I was called faggot almost every day in school. Some of the worst instances I still remember to this day, which classroom I was in, who said it to me, and then the silence of my teachers. I do want to give a shout out to my speech and drama teacher, though, Julie Chowning. She lives in Horry County. She allowed me to be myself without putting words or defining who I was. I'm so grateful. Over the years, though, I tried to be the best straight person I could be. I dated girls. I went to the Citadel class of 2009. I prayed to be straight. I even planned to marry a woman and be sitting where y'all are today. The lack of support that some of these bills project onto teachers will do damage, and frankly led me down a dark path, so I know it will do the same thing for other students. This level of fear and discrimination pushed me to hide behind alcohol, wanting to harm myself, all because I didn't feel like I could be myself. All of these bills, but 4605, 4799, 4343, and 4392 in particular would force students to hide who they are and will end up forcing students to harm themselves. There's data to back it up. We talk about mental health of students. Let's talk about the mental health of LGBTQ plus students. With just the mere holding of these hearings and the things said, 94% of LGBTQ plus youth reported that recent politics negatively impacted their mental health. 42% of LGBTQ plus youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. More than half of transgender and non-binary youth. I'm almost done, I promise. But the future doesn't have to be grim for us. We can support all students without stripping away their identity. LGBTQ plus youth who had access to spaces that affirmed their sexual orientation and gender identity reported lower rates of attempting suicide. Once I got to a place where I truly accepted myself for who I was the happiest I could be. I've been sober for over 5 years. I have a loving and supportive family, I'm successful in my work, and I advocate on behalf of people that are marginalized, by people who are often impacted by fear. I'm here to say that the words gay, transgender, queer are nothing to fear. We should support people, not tear them down. That's the South Carolina I love, that we all love. Stifling free speech, denying the existence of an entire community, and telling a child they are not worthy of mentioning in their classroom in an age-appropriate way is not the way. Please do the right thing. We have to do the right thing. Our children deserve it. Thank you.
You, Mr. Ford. Any questions? No? Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you?
I know, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Ford, one of the things that you was concerned about was, in conversations you and I had and some others about book banning. Can you share a little bit about the banning of books so that we could have that information for consideration?
Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to answer that question, and thank you. I think that banning books is bad. We've seen it in history already. I think the books that have been brought up, particularly here, are all LGBTQ plus affirming books. Allowing these books in an age-appropriate way is very important. Allowing students to see themselves in art, in music, in literature is important to their existence. I think when you start banning books, it's a slippery slope. I think first it'll start with LGBTQ plus books on the Sora app, as we've discussed. I think then it will be LGBTQ plus books in stores, and then it will be LGBTQ plus content online, and then it's just trying to erase existence of an entire community. I think that, there were things that my mama said that I couldn't watch. The Simpsons was one of them when I was growing up. I think that's a parental responsibility and not something that the legislature can legislate. I don't think there's a possible way, but banning books that say gay or about gender identity won't make us go away and won't make us be quiet.
Any other questions? Hold on just a minute, Representative Britton.
So your parents said that you couldn't watch The Simpsons. So my question is, where basically do we start that process? I'm with you. Banning books is a slippery slope. It's not a good thing. But I'll be honest with you. Seeing some of the materials that were handed out, last week I was shocked. There's no way that my 9-year-old daughter or 8-year-old son should ever see that. Not because of what it portrayed, not because of the LBGT or gay or nothing to do with that, but because of the obscene is not the right word, but because of the graphic nature of what was on those materials. And so where you said 10 and 11, you felt that you were different from other boys. So, and you didn't have an outlet. So where and how do you propose that we channel that those books, or how do we teach our parents to be on notice of potential, so they don't have to go through the problems that you went through, Phil?
I think by being connected to their child, having conversations with their children is very important. And frankly, I think the lower level of government to have those conversations, like at school boards or with their superintendent, would be the best way to handle those situations. One of the books in particular was Genderqueer. That is a book appropriate for 17 to 18-year-olds. It was allowed in the school library where other kids had access to it. If there's a way to have a conversation with the librarian to say, hey, let's make sure these books, if someone wants to check these out, that we make sure that they're a senior. But I don't think legislating something like that is the best way to move forward.